Hey, welcome back to another video. Today we got an interesting one because as we've all seen, look, I'm not the source for breaking news, but as we have all seen, Pfizer has put out a COVID-19 vaccine and they have said that it is 90% effective. So I had a few questions about that and I have a few insights to share with you guys. The first question I had was, what does 90% effective mean? And I'm going to link an article down here below so that you guys can see what I'm looking at. So we're going to go through what does 90% effective mean, and that is different from efficacy from this article that I'm looking through. And then after we go through that, we're going to go through some stocks that I'm looking at, stocks that I'm looking to potentially buy, how my portfolio is doing, and what I'm generally seeing happening in the market, where people are rotating to. And lastly, we're going to go over some things that when the pandemic ends, some things that I want people to not forget. So if that sounds good, let's go ahead and dive into that. So what does 90% effective mean? So 90% effective is different than 90% efficacy, according to this article. So where did they get the 90% number? I'm just going to go ahead and read this straight from the article. According to a press release from Pfizer, the phase 3 clinical trial of its vaccine candidate is partially complete, with 38,955 of the 43,058 participants having received 2 injections of the candidate or a placebo. So far, 94 of those participants have developed COVID-19. So in other words, based on the numbers of people that they have introduced the vaccine to in their placebo group, and also the people who have actually went ahead and developed the virus, they're basing that off of how many people actually got the virus after they got the vaccine. So 90% of people did not get the virus after they got the vaccine. That is what that means. That is what the 90% efficacy figure means. So the difference between efficacy and effectiveness is based on observational studies once the shot is deployed in the real world. So in other words, effectiveness is going to be once we actually put the vaccine out to the normal population. So the difference between the normal population and the difference in the population that Pfizer used in their study is that Pfizer, just out of concern for the safety of the participants, used healthy individuals. So as far as contraction, we haven't seen that healthy individuals tend to contract the virus at lower rates. However, they do tend to die from the virus at lower rates, which brings up a good point, which I wanted you guys to remember. This is going to be in the points to remember that in general, we need to make sure that we're taking care of what we eat. We need to make sure that we're taking care of our cardiovascular health, getting exercise, and just generally taking care of our general health, because as we saw earlier in the pandemic, the people who are actually dying from this are people that are older, people that are generally unhealthy, have other factors going on. And for the most part in America, what we see, we have, the last time I saw it was 2/3 of Americans are overweight, and I believe it's 36% of Americans are obese. We have a problem with our lifestyle. We have too much in this country, and we got to take care of ourselves in that way. So make sure we're eating the right foods, getting the right exercise. But once we actually release this to people who are not healthy population, we will see the effectiveness, which is going to be a little bit different than the efficacy as far as the study. So let's get into some stocks that I'm looking at here. So one thing that I saw that was very interesting is SPHD is up 6.53% as of recording this video. And what that tells me is that high dividend yielding stocks are going back up, right? We see that tech is down. The NASDAQ is down today. So all the stocks that people were piling into that were tech stocks, that were stay-at-home stocks, people are piling out of those. Bank of America is up 14.19%. I wish I would have had the opportunity to buy a little bit heavier into that, but basically the turnaround stocks are going up. Bank of America up 14%, Carnival up 39%. Carnival is up massive today. Disney is up 11.87% as of me recording this video, down 0.83% after hours. Nordstrom is up big, over 25%. Simon Property is up 27% plus. And Beyond Meat is one that I wanted to also direct your attention to. This one was seen as a stay-at-home play because there was that meat shortage, and I like Beyond Meat. So if this thing keeps on trending down, I'll have to listen to the earnings call and we will see if I want to pick up some Beyond Meat. So one thing that I wanted to note with all those stock picks is that what I said in one of my last videos was that everything that went down the most are the things that are going to go back up the most. And today is that day. So who knows if it holds up, but the point is that as we look at volatility, anything that goes back down the most is the things that are going to go back up the most. The things that went back up the most today the whole market went up and they went down, the tech stocks, right? So people want to pile into the thing that just went up. Really, you need to be piling into the thing that just went back down. That's why I'm looking at Beyond Meat, and I'll be looking for other things that are taking a beating as a result of this news and this environment. One thing that I did want to say is there's a lot of people out there that would probably think that it's a little bit weird of a coincidence that right after the election is called, suddenly the pandemic is also called. But anyways, if I were you and what I'm doing, I would, stay inside, keep your social distance, and make sure that you're staying safe from this virus. But seems like the pandemic is going away with the election announcement. But anyways, let's go into the things that I do not want people to forget about this pandemic, because this was a lesson in disguise. There was a lot of pain that happened, but this is a lesson. So the first thing I wanted to say was capitalism created this vaccine. That's right. People pursuing their own self-interest is what created this vaccine. An American company created this vaccine. And just because they did it out of their own self-interest doesn't mean that the machine of capitalism doesn't consistently churn out the things that people want. People wanted a vaccine, capitalism churned out a vaccine with the incentive of profit. So profit is not evil. Profit is a very strong pull. It pulls people to do the things that people want. So if you do the things that people want, you will prosper. If you do not do the things that people want, you will not prosper. The second thing that I want you guys to remember is what it feels like to go through a huge dip in the equity markets. So we saw that huge dip back in March. We saw the huge dip in the equity markets, and we eventually came back. If you look throughout history, it hasn't always come back the strongest, but it generally always eventually comes back. Not to say that you should always invest into the equity market specifically, but I just want everybody to remember what a big dip looks like, and I want people to remember that oftentimes it is an opportunity. So the next thing that I want people to remember is what it is like to lose your job. So the reason why I want people to remember that is because what I saw right before the pandemic hit in February, January, December, I saw people going out like there's no tomorrow, people taking out debt. I saw the bars are full every night. And I was like, I know some of these people are broke. I know some of these people are just out there pleasure seeking. They're spending their last dollar every single Friday, every single Saturday. I just want people to remember that that is always a possibility. And on that, I just wanted to say that as an employee, you are never safe from your employer. So you have to have something that you own that makes you money. Always have multiple sources of income. This is the next thing that I want people to remember, because if one of them goes down, then you always have other ways to make money. Next thing I wanted people to remember is you do not have to go out and spend money to have fun. I will repeat that. You do not have to go out and spend money to have fun. I saw a lot of people getting out in nature because they closed down all the parks, they closed down all the bars. I saw people getting outside. I saw people exercising more. I saw some people exercising less. I saw some people eating better. I saw some people eating worse. So that is another thing I wanted to get into, and that is habits. So if you've generated some good habits as a result of this pandemic, or if you've generated some bad habits as a result of this pandemic, I just want to say that it is a good time to start forming some good habits or maintaining those good habits. And the last two things that I wanted to say is, number one, wealth gaps widen after recessions because the poor lose everything and they give it to the rich. They have to sell it to the rich. So what did we see? We saw people emptying their 401ks. We saw people, rightfully so, because they shut down business, they shut down people's employment, and then they told everybody to go home, and then they did not send us that much money. So I understand, but wealth gaps are created during the recession. We have to remember that, and we have to know that the recession is always coming. Because if we understand market cycles, we understand that the recession is always coming. Just because things seem good doesn't mean that the recession is not coming. I'll make a video on that, but if you guys want a video that really explains why the recession is always coming, it's talking about the long-term and short-term debt cycle. It's called How the Economic Machine Works by Ray Dalio. It's a 30-minute video, but it is worth every single minute. And the last thing I wanted to go through is don't follow the crowd. And I've got a little blurb from Atomic Habits. You guys got to bear with me. I got a little bit of hooked on phonics action going with my reading, but I just wanted to share this with you guys. It's a little study from the book, and then we will close out the video. So let me preface this by saying what the experiment generally was. So basically what they did is they took these people and they put them into rooms. Some people were subjects, some people were actors. Some of the actors were basically supposed to say the wrong things intentionally. So they took these cards and they put them in front of the actual subjects, and then they put them in front of the actors, and they would basically, sometimes the actors would intentionally say the right thing, sometimes the actors would intentionally say the wrong thing. So what they found was that every time the actor would say the wrong thing, if there was just one person, the other person, the actual subject, would just say, this guy is kind of crazy, right? But when there was two people, two actors saying the wrong thing, then the person would start to question themselves. And then when there was three people, then the person would sometimes pick the thing that they knew was wrong. You know, if there was A, B, C, and C was the longest, and the two actors pointed at the shortest, which was A, the person that was the subject would sometimes point to the one that the other three people pointed at. And what they found was that the more people that you had doing the wrong thing, the more likely the subject was to pick the wrong thing. And that's because that's just how we're wired. We're wired to conform with social norms. I ended up not reading the passage because I just remembered it, but we are wired to conform with social norms. And what is the point of that? The point of me bringing up that is that's how we're wired. So if we are wired that way, and we know we're wired that way, and we also know that, I'm just going to say it, most people are broke. All right. So if most people are broke and you're behaving like most people, there is a good chance that you are also going to be broke. So congratulations to everybody out there who's an investor. If you're still investing out there, you're still putting money in the market, and you're still basically just trying to build your wealth out. Most people are not trying to do that. Most people think that that's stupid. Most people are running for the hills. Most people are cowering in fear. But if you are not, congratulations to you. Today was a big profit for you. And hopefully you guys enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you guys share this wherever you share cool things. Join the Facebook group if you haven't already. We like to post about money and finance in there, and ask people any questions in there. We've got multiple millionaires, future millionaires, and just people that want to build wealth. And I'll see you guys in the next video.